I gave sleep, comfort, and food, imagining her happiness in my every sacrifice, but when I finally gifted her the earrings she loved, she smiled coldly and said another man had already placed diamonds in her ears. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. because sleep doesn't come anymore. My hands are shaking as I type this, but I need to get it out. I need someone to know how completely I destroyed everything good in my. Her name was Sarah. 3 years together. I thought we were building something real. I gave sleep working double shifts to save for those earrings she kept staring at in the jewelry store window. Pearl drops with tiny diamonds that caught the light just right. She'd slow down every time we walked past that store, and I'd see this look in her eyes. Pure want. So I worked 16-hour days for 2 months. Ate ramen for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Slept on a mattress on the floor because I sold my bed frame for extra cash. My back ached constantly, but every time I felt like quitting, I'd picture her face when I surprised her with those earrings. I had it all planned. Dinner at that little Italian place where we had our first date. I'd wait until dessert, then slide the small velvet box across the table. Maybe she'd cry happy tears. Maybe it would be the moment I finally worked the courage to propose. But doesn't care about plans. 3 days before our anniversary dinner, I came home early from my second job. I was exhausted, covered in grease from the auto shop, but I was excited. The earrings were finally paid off, sitting in my sock drawer wrapped in tissue paper. I opened the apartment door quietly. Sarah's car was in the driveway, which was weird because she said she was working late. I figured maybe she got off early, wanted to surprise me with dinner or something. The living room was dark, but I could hear voices from the bedroom. Loud, intimate voices. My stomach dropped before my brain even processed what was happening. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, just listening to the sound of my world ending. Sarah's laugh. A man's voice I didn't recognize, deep and confident in a way that made my chest tight. I should have left. Should have walked right back out that door and never looked back. Instead, I crept down the hallway like a coward. The bedroom door was cracked open just enough. Just enough to see Sarah sitting on our bed, wearing the red dress I'd bought her for Valentine's Day. A tall guy with perfect hair was leaning against the dresser, and she was looking at him with this expression I'd never seen before. Complete adoration. But that's not what broke me. What broke me was what I saw glinting in her ears. Diamond earrings, not the pearl drops she'd been staring at for months, real diamonds, probably worth more than I made in 6 months. They caught the lamplight and sparkled like tiny stars. They're perfect, she was saying, reaching to touch them. Have incredible taste. He laughed, the kind of easy, confident laugh that comes from never having to count pennies for dinner. Nothing but the best for Pa. I backed away from the door so fast I nearly tripped. My heart was hammering so hard I thought they'd hear it. I made it to the kitchen before the shaking started. 20 minutes later, Sarah came out alone. Her hair was messed, her lipstick gone, and those diamond earrings catching every bit of light like they were mocking me. "Oh," she said when she saw me. "We're home early." I just stared at her. Stared at those earrings that weren't from me. Stared at the woman I'd been starving for, working for, dreaming about a future with. "New earrings," I managed to say. Her hand flew to touch them, and for just a second, I saw panic flash across her face. Then it was gone, replaced by that cold smile I'd learned to. "Oh, these. I bought them for." Finally decided to treat no. I knew she was lying. Sarah worked at a coffee shop and could barely afford her half of the rent. Those earrings cost more than she made in 3 months. But I stood there and nodded like an. "They're beautiful." "Thanks," she said, and there was something in her voice I'd never heard before. Distance. Like she was already gone and just waiting for me to figure it out. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, while she slept beside me, those diamond earrings on the nightstand catching moonlight. I thought about the pearl earrings hidden in my sock drawer. I thought about all those double shifts, all those nights of ramen noodles, all those mornings I woke with my back screaming from sleeping on the floor. I thought about how I'd been. But the worst part. Even then, even knowing what I'd seen, part of me still wanted to give her those pearl earrings. Part of me still thought maybe I could win her back. God, I was pathetic. The next morning, she was gone before I woke. Left a note saying she was staying at her sister's for a few days, needed some space to think. I never saw her again. She came back while I was at work, took her stuff, and left her key on the kitchen counter. No goodbye, no explanation, just an empty closet, and the lingering smell of her perfume. I found out later she'd been seeing him for 4 months. Marcus, some finance guy with a BMW in a corner office downtown. Everything I wasn't and never could be. The pearl earrings are still in my sock drawer. I can't bring to return them, but I can't look at them either. I gave sleep, comfort, and food, imagining her happiness in my every sacrifice. But when I finally worked the courage to surprise her with the earrings she'd wanted, she was already wearing diamonds from another man's hands. Should I have seen it coming? The way she'd started working late more often. The new clothes that were too expensive for her salary. The way she'd stopped talking about our future together. Maybe. But love makes blind to everything except what want to see. Now I'm sitting here at 3 a.m., typing this story that no one will probably read, wondering how I became the kind of man who gets left behind for someone better. The truth is, I wasn't enough. I thought love was about sacrifice, about working to make someone happy. I thought if I just tried hard enough, gave enough, worked enough, she'd see how much I loved her. But love isn't about what we're willing to give. It's about what bring to the table. And apparently, ramen noodles and a mattress on the floor wasn't enough. It's been 3 days since I wrote chapter 1. I thought I was done bleeding, but apparently my heart had more to give. I need to tell what happened after Sarah left, how I went from being the guy who got cheated on to being the town joke. How rock bottom has a basement. The first week was a blur. I called in sick to both jobs, which I couldn't afford but couldn't help. I sat in that empty apartment staring at the walls, eating cereal for every meal because I'd forgotten how to cook for one person. My phone kept buzzing. Sarah's friends, our mutual friends, people asking what happened. I ignored all of them. What was I supposed to say? That I wasn't enough. That while I was working she was falling in love with someone else. Then Jake called. Jake was my best friend since high school, the kind of guy who'd have my back no matter what. Or so I thought. Dude, I heard about Sarah. He said. I'm sorry man. That sucks. I should have heard it in his voice. That weird tension, like he was reading from a script. Yeah, I said. It sucks. Listen, can we grab a tonight? I think we should talk. Something in my gut twisted, but I said yes. I needed to get out of that apartment before the walls caved in. We met at Murphy's, this dive bar where we used to play pool in college. Jake was already there when I arrived, hunched over a whiskey like he was trying to disappear into it. I ordered and sat down. For a minute, neither of us said anything. Then Jake looked, and I saw guilt written all over his face. I should have told, he said. My went cold. Told me what? He couldn't meet my eyes. About Sarah. About Marcus. I knew man. I've known for months. The bottle slipped in my hands. I set it down hard, foam spilling over the rim. Knew. I saw them together at that new restaurant downtown. Back in February. They were close. Really close. I confronted Sarah about it, told her she needed to tell or I would. February. That was 2 months after I'd started working double shifts for those earrings. She begged me not to say anything. Jake continued. Said it was just a friend from work, that I was reading too much into it. She swore nothing was happening. But knew better. He nodded, still not looking at me. I saw them again last month, holding hands in the parking lot of the movie theater. She saw me and, God, the look on her face. Pure panic. I felt like I was drowning. And still didn't tell me. She called me that night, crying. Said she was going to break with Marcus, that she realized she loved. She begged for one more chance to make things right. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Guess that didn't work out. I'm sorry man. I should have told from the beginning. But she's like a sister to me no. Has been since we all started out. I thought. Thought what? That I didn't deserve to know my girlfriend was cheating on me. Jake finally looked. I thought I could fix it. I thought she'd come to her senses. The betrayal hit me like a truck. Not just Sarah. Jake too. My best friend, who I'd trusted with everything, had been lying to my face for months. Who else knew? The question hung in the air like smoke. Jake's silence was answer enough. Who else, Jake? Most of the group, man. I'm sorry. Sarah made us all promise not to say anything. She kept saying she was going to handle it. Most of the group, our entire friend circle had been watching me make a fool of, working for a woman who was sleeping with someone else. I stood so fast my chair fell over. Where are going? Jake called after me. I didn't answer. I couldn't. If I opened my mouth, I was either going to scream or throw. The next few days were a nightmare. Word had gotten out about Sarah and Marcus. Small town, big mouths. Everywhere I went, people stared. Some looked at me with pity. Others with barely concealed amusement. The guy at the gas station where I'd been buying energy drinks for my double shifts gave me this knowing look. Sorry about girl, man. We all saw it coming. We all saw it coming. The cashier at the grocery store. A girl I'd gone to high school with, actually patted my hand when she handed me my receipt. Better off without her honey. Everyone knew she was trouble. Everyone knew. I started avoiding places where I might run into people I knew. Which in a town of 15,000 people meant basically everywhere. But the worst was work. I was replacing brake pads on Tuesday when I heard them talking in the next bay over. Poor had no idea. Tommy was saying. Working all that overtime, talking about buying her jewelry and proposing. Meanwhile she's out there with Mr. Money Bags. I heard he sold his furniture to afford some earrings for her. Rick added. Can't imagine. Sleeping on the floor for a cheat. They didn't know I could hear them, or maybe they didn't care. My wife saw them at the mall last weekend. Tommy continued. Sarah and the new guy, she was trying on wedding dresses. My wrench slipped and scraped across my knuckles drawing. I didn't even feel it. Wedding dresses. That night, I drove past the jewelry store where Sarah used to stare at those pearl earrings. There was a, for sale, sign in the window. The whole place was closing down. Even the earrings had moved on. I sat in my car outside Sarah's sister's house for 2 hours, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. Hoping she'd come outside and we could talk. Maybe she'd explain. Maybe she'd apologize. Maybe she'd tell me it was all a mistake, but deep down, I knew the truth. She was happy. Happier than I'd ever made her. The diamond earrings proved it. The way she'd looked at Marcus proved it. The fact that she could walk away from 3 years like they meant nothing proved it. I wasn't the love of her. I was a placeholder until something better came along. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. Heard about Sarah. Come home for dinner Sunday. Love great. Even my family knew. But the text that came an hour later was worse. Unknown number. Saw the news about girl. If wanna know the truth about what really happened, meet me at Denny's tomorrow at 7. A friend. I stared at that text for 20 minutes. The truth about what really happened. What could be worse than what I already knew? Turns out, everything can always get worse. I was about to learn just how much worse. I'm writing this final chapter from a motel room 3 states away. I left everything behind. Had to. After what I learned at Denny's, I couldn't stay in that town for another day. The mystery texter was Lisa, a girl who worked at the bank downtown. I barely knew her, maybe said hello a few times when I posited my paychecks. She was nervous, kept looking around like someone might be watching. I shouldn't be doing this, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. But what they did to... It's sick. My coffee was already cold, but I gripped the mug anyway. Something to hold on to. What who did to me? Lisa pulled out her phone, scrolled through some photos, then set it face down on the table. I work in personal banking. I see account activity for a lot of people in town. Including Sarah's. My stomach clenched. Okay. 3 months ago, she opened an account. With Marcus. That hit me like a, but it wasn't surprising. People who are planning a future together open accounts. But that's not the worst part. Lisa continued. The account activity shows deposits from an interesting source. Auto shop. The world tilted. What? Large cash deposits, always the day after paychecks. Always exactly 60% of what made. I couldn't breathe. That's impossible. Lisa turned her phone around. Bank statements. Clear as day. My name wasn't on them, but the amounts were exact. Down to the penny. She's been skimming from the rent money, the grocery money, everything. While we're working double shifts and eating ramen, she was depositing most of income into an account with her boyfriend. The Denny's started spinning around me. She said she was saving for us. For our future. She was. Just not the future thought. Lisa showed me more statements. Months of theft. While I'd been selling my furniture and sleeping on the floor, Sarah had been building a nest egg with Marcus using my money. There's more. Lisa said quietly. I didn't think I could handle more, but I nodded. The diamond earrings. I processed that transaction. They cost $3,200. More than I made in 3 months at either job. Marcus didn't buy them. Lisa continued. Sarah did. With money from account. The account she had access to but didn't know about. The room was spinning faster now. Sarah had bought herself diamond earrings with my money, then let me believe another man had given them to her. She'd watched me destroy working for pearl earrings while wearing diamonds I'd unknowingly paid for. Why? My voice came out as a croak. Why are telling me this? Lisa's eyes filled with tears. Because my sister went through something similar. Financial, emotional manipulation. She almost didn't survive it. When I saw what Sarah was doing to financial, the words felt foreign in my mouth. We're being robbed, manipulated, and gaslit for months. While everyone in town watched and did nothing. I thought about Jake, about our friend group, about all the people who knew it was coming, but never said a word. They hadn't just hidden an affair. They'd watched me get financially destroyed and said nothing. There's one more thing, Lisa said. She looked sick. Sarah and Marcus. They've been planning this for 6 months. She told her sister the whole thing. About how she was going to string along until she had enough money saved, then leave for Marcus. Talk to her sister. She works at the bank too. Different department. She felt guilty and told me everything. Lisa leaned forward. Sarah called her safety net. Said Marcus was exciting but didn't want to commit until he knew she was serious. So she stayed with, used money to prove she could be independent, then dumped once Marcus proposed. Marcus proposed. Of course he did, with the financial stability I'd unknowingly provided. I stood so fast I knocked over my coffee. Lisa jumped back as the hot liquid spread across the table. I'm sorry. I said, but I wasn't talking about the coffee. I drove home in a daze. Everything made sense now. Why Sarah had always handled the finances. Why she'd been so supportive of me working extra hours. Why she'd seemed so confident about our future even as she was pulling away emotionally. She'd been planning my destruction from the beginning. When I got to the apartment, I went straight to my laptop and logged into my bank account for the first time in months. I'd been too tired, too trusting, to check it regularly. The balance was $30.47. I'd earned over $30,000 in the past 6 months. After rent and basic expenses, there should have been at least $8,000 in savings. Sarah had stolen almost everything. I called the bank. They confirmed what Lisa had shown me. Unauthorized transfers, forged signatures, systematic theft. But since Sarah had been on the account as an authorized user, something I'd added when we moved in together, and since I'd never reported the transactions as fraudulent, there was nothing they could do. It was all legal. Technically. That night, I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases. There wasn't much left anyway. I'd sold most of it to buy those pearl earrings. I left the earrings on the kitchen counter next to Sarah's old house key. Maybe the next tenant would find them, and give them to someone who deserved them, someone who wouldn't use them as props in an elaborate con game. I wrote one letter. Not to Sarah. Not to Jake. Not to anyone who'd betrayed me. To my future. Remember this feeling. Remember how it feels to be completely destroyed by someone trusted. Remember how everyone knew and no one cared enough to warn. Remember that love without respect is just exploitation with better marketing. Remember that when someone shows who they are, believe them the first time. Remember that kindness is not weakness, but giving it to the wrong person will destroy. Remember this, so never let anyone do it again. I left that letter on my pillow, and walked away from everything I'd ever known. It's been 2 weeks now. I'm working at a garage in a town where no one knows my story. I sleep on a mattress on the floor again, but this time it's by choice, not necessity. I'm saving every penny, rebuilding what was stolen from me. Some nights I wonder what would have happened if I'd been smarter. If I'd checked my bank statements. If I'd questioned why Sarah was always so eager for me to work overtime. If I'd trusted my instincts when things started feeling wrong. But mostly I wonder how many other people are out there right now, working themselves for someone who's planning their destruction. How many people are sleeping on floors and eating ramen, while their partner builds a future with someone else using their money. I think about Sarah sometimes. She's probably married to Marcus by now, living in some nice house, wearing those diamond earrings I bought her without knowing it. I hope she's happy. I hope it was worth it. But I also hope she remembers, late at night when the guilt creeps in, that she didn't just break my heart. She stole my trust, my ability to believe in love, and nearly broke my spirit entirely. I gave sleep, comfort, and food, imagining her happiness in my every sacrifice. But when I finally gifted her the earrings she loved, she smiled coldly, and said another man had already placed diamonds in her ears. Diamonds I'd paid for without knowing, while she systematically destroyed everything I'd worked for, leaving me with nothing but the bitter truth that love and theft can look exactly the same until it's too late to save.